Hallo og velkommen til webinar om studier i utlandet. I dag skal vi snakke om kreative studier og porteføljetips. Kanskje noen av dere kjenner meg fra før av, men jeg heter Camilla og jobber her i Study Outside Norway, eller SONOR som vi kaller det. Aller først i dag tenkte jeg å gå litt gjennom hva SONOR kan gjøre for dere, og hva vi kan hjelpe dere med når dere skal søke. Og så vil jeg også gå gjennom ofte stilte spørsmål som vi i SONOR får, som sikkert mange av dere lurer på. Deretter skal vi få høre fra universitetene våre. I dag har vi med oss 3 universitet fra Storbritannia, og de skal få presentere seg selv etterpå. Men det da University for the Creative Arts, University of Plymouth og Northumbria University som vi har med oss. Og helt til slutt så skal vi ha spørsmålsrunde, og da kan dere sende spørsmål til meg i chatboksen på siden der. Og det bare å skrive direkte til meg, det ingen andre som ser spørsmålene du sender. Så ja. Som noen av dere vet fra før av, jo SONOR en organisasjon som hjelper norske elever å søke studier i utlandet. Og vi 5 veiledere med erfaring fra utlandet, mange forskjellige steder, både USA, Storbritannia, Kina, Nederland og mange forskjellige plasser. Vi har kontor i Trondheim og Oslo. Vanligvis kan du jo komme innom kontoret vårt på besøk, men akkurat nå så har vi ikke mulighet til det. Vi har samarbeid med over 60 universitet i 5 engelskspråklige land, som da USA, Storbritannia, Singapore, Australia og New Zealand. Og så har vi i tillegg medisin- og tannlegestudier i EU. Og vi vil jo hjelpe dere å finne universitet basert på dine ønsker, hva du har lyst til å studere og hvor du vil studere, men også din bakgrunn, som for eksempel karaktersnitt du har. Og all hjelp du får av oss jo helt gratis og uforpliktende. Og vi hjelper deg gjennom hele søknadsprosessen fra start til slutt. Du vil få din egen personlige veileder som du snakker med på Northumbria på e-post eller telefon. Og vi vil da hjelpe deg med valg av universitet og grad. Og vi kjenner alle opptakskravene til de ulike universitetene og de ulike dokumentene som du trenger. Fordi det ofte veldig forskjellig fra ulike universitet hva de krever. Og som vi skal snakke litt om senere, så krever jo veldig ofte britisk universitet en portefølje. I tillegg så vil vi jo hjelpe dere med å søke på stipend og alt det økonomiske. For eksempel lånekassa kan jo være vanskelig å finne ut av når det første gangen du skal gjennom det. Og det vanskelig å vite hva du skal fylle ut og akkurat hva du skal søke om. I tillegg så hjelper vi jo dere med det praktiske. Nå det jo slik at til neste år så vil man trenge visum for å studere i Storbritannia også, og det skal vi hjelpe dere med. Og vi hjelper også med å finne bolig og sette andre studenter i kontakt da. Så det kan dere lese litt om på nettsiden vår. Hvis du litt usikker på hvilket land du vil studere i for eksempel, eller hvilket universitet du skal starte på, så det mulig å lese om opplevelsene til tidligere studenter. Og det også mulig å kontakte deg og stille deg spørsmål. Og som jeg nevnte, så setter vi i SONOR studenter i kontakt. Så hvis du for eksempel skal til et sted i Storbritannia og studere, og det andre nordmenn også som skal dit, så kan vi sette dere i kontakt. Og da kan dere for eksempel finne bolig sammen, hvis dere har lyst til det. Så tenkte jeg å gå litt gjennom ofte stilte spørsmål som vi får her, som kanskje dere også lurer på. Lånekassen, den støtter alle universitet som vi samarbeider med, og alle gradene som de tilbyr. Og da vil du få støtte til både skolepenger, og levekostnader. Men nøyaktig prisen for studiet ditt vil variere litt ut ifra hvilket universitet du går på, ikke minst hvilken grad du går på, og lengden på graden din. For det noen steder kan en bachelorgrad for eksempel være 3 år, og andre steder kan den være 4 år. Og da vil jo prisen så klart bli forskjellig. I forhold til engelskkrav så trenger du som regel karakteren 4 i engelsk for å få opptak. Det er visse universitet som krever språktest, altså engelsktest uansett, men som regel så har du karakteren 4 eller bedre, så får du fritak for det. Og søknadsfristene, det varierer også, så det er lurt å holde kontakt med oss. Der er for eksempel forskjellige søknadsfrister for norske statsborgere og EU-borgere. Der er forskjellige søknadsfrister i Storbritannia ut ifra hvilket fag du søker på. Skal du søke på veldig populære studier og fag, er det lurt å søke før 15. januar. Men ja, hold kontakt med oss, så får dere informasjon som dere trenger. Og ja, alle er sikkert litt lei av å høre om korona og den situasjonen, men tenkte å nevne kjapt at per dags dato så er det mulig å reise til Storbritannia, Singapore, USA og EU-land som student. Grensene til Australia og New Zealand er jo stengt da. Men hvis du har søkt studier i Australia eller New Zealand, så kan du utsette studiestart, eller du kan starte på studiene dine online. Og når da grensen åpner, så kan du reise. Så det var alt fra meg. Nå skal jeg sette over til universitetene. So now we're going to hear from the universities. University for the Creative Arts.
Hi.
Do you want to share your screen? Introduce yourself.
1 second. Okay. Oh, I can't share just yet. It's disabled. I think you need to make us co-hosts.
I thought I made you co-host. Let's see. Oops. Yeah. Can you share it now?
Let's have a go. Yes, brilliant. Thank you. Okay, all right, let me just put this up as a big PPT. Okay. Okay, so I am Felicity from the University for the Creative Arts. Got to be honest, Norway is quite a new market to me. So if I say something that sounds a bit stupid or wrong, please do forgive me, and I'm more than happy to answer any questions addressing that at the end and make sure that I tell you the right thing. What I want to show you first is a video from our students. So this is made by students for our students, and it completely showcases students' work. So it's just about a minute long, but I promise it is good. And loud. Okay, fab. All right, I'm just going to try and swap displays. So I do apologise. I think you might have seen that in a slightly peculiar way. Okay, I think that should look better for you guys. Sorry about that. I think something happens when you get to about 35 and you just stop being able to use all technology. Okay, but yes, so one of the things that we really emphasise at UCA, and one of the things that's really important to us, is making sure that you are employable at the end of your jobs, sorry, at the end of your degree. I think a lot of parents sometimes worry that if you do an art and design degree, you're not going to be employable. But realistically, the creative industries in the UK is worth more than the whole hospitality industry. 1 in 8 jobs is in the creative industry. And these are just some of the things that our students go into. But really, the jobs that you guys are going to be going into haven't even been created yet. It's going to be so innovative and so interesting. I'm so excited for what you're going to do. So there's a whole world out there for you. And we really make sure you're employable by teaching you time management, how to work as a team, how to manage other people, your communication. It's not just a focus on art and design. It's making sure that you're an employable individual in the world. Now, why us? I'm not going to try and give you guys the hard sell today, but so on the league tables, we are the #1 specialist art and design university, because we are a specialist art and design university. It's the only thing we do is art and design. We're one of the top 5 modern universities in the UK, and our business school is #7 in the whole of the UK. We have the business school for the creative industries. So it's things like fashion management and marketing, music management. We even do festival management. So there's a lot of different things. It's very unique. It's really exciting. And then in terms of where we are, so UCA is split across 4 campuses, 2 in Surrey and 2 in Kent. We used to be 4 separate art and design colleges, and we've got nearly 150 years of history from our art and design colleges. And then in the early 2000s, we came together to be the University for the Creative Arts. So long history as the Kent and Surrey School of Art and Design, and then came together as a university to be UCA. Now, I'm just going to run through the campuses quickly. So Farnham is probably our biggest campus, but in the smallest town. So incredible facilities. You know, we have rooms and rooms filled with looms. We have our own TV studio on campus, own theatre. All the courses here are very interactive. So you could be working with someone who is a graphic designer one day, or working with someone who makes swords the next day. So very, very, it's just a huge range of facilities, so you really get to try all different things. Epsom is very much our London campus, so it feels really urban. This is where our home for business is. And then we have Rochester. Rochester is about 30 minutes outside of East London. It's very cool, very alternative, lots of underground art and music coming out of Rochester. And this is one of our schools for fashion as well. And then Canterbury is probably our smallest campus, but our biggest city. And here we have architecture, creative computing, and graphic design. Part of UCA is the Canterbury School of Architecture. Now, the Canterbury School of Architecture is over 70 years old. We're 20th in the league table for architecture, and we're the top specialist art and design university for architecture. It's a very collaborative course, so our architecture students work really closely with our interior design and creative computing virtual reality students to create a lot of 3D virtual spaces as well. So it's incredibly immersive, and you'll have that interactivity with students from all different programs. Very much emphasising the hands-on making, materiality. It's quite long studio hours, but it does push that experimentation and collaboration. We also work with the Maidstone TV studios. So any of you TV producers out there, you'll be working on live big British TV shows and movies from the very beginning of your course. And we also have a needlework, a hand embroidery course at our Hampton Court Palace location, which is where they made all the embroidery for the royal wedding dress. So it's pretty cool. And then just in terms of what you can do with UCA, really, if there's something that you can think of in the creative industries, we will offer it. So there's a huge range of things that you can do. Now, I'm just going to go through some of these because I want to talk more about portfolios, but 3 different levels of entry requirements. So for the foundation, we require a 2 in the Vitnamol. Undergraduate is a 3. And then architecture, we require a 4 in the Vitnamol. And we do require portfolios for anything except for business courses. So we'll help you to make those portfolios. Our course fees are about £17,000 a year, but we do lots of scholarships as well. So we're very generous with our scholarships. We have a lot more than this. I just can't put them all on one slide. Now, in terms of portfolios, so one of the things that we find students really, really worry about is how to present a portfolio. Now, a portfolio should very much be about you as an individual and how you choose to represent yourself and your art. Now, portfolio should really demonstrate your creative journey. So portfolio should show us your thought processes. We want to see your beginning to your end. You should think of a portfolio. You should think of your work as a piece of music. It has the beginning, middle, and end. And how do you get to that point? So that journey, that creative journey that you go on in your portfolio is probably more important than the final piece. Don't get caught up in the idea that other people are producing a better portfolio. It's not necessarily about better, it's about different. Portfolios, especially if your portfolio is based on high school work, your portfolio or the work you've done previously might be quite formulaic. It might be very much told to you, this is how you do this, this is how you do that. And when that happens, we often have students who are really worried that their portfolio is worse or not as good as their friends. Realistically, your portfolio is about you and everyone has a different style. So don't get too stressed about it. Now, your portfolio, so you should definitely check each university's website. So each university is going to have slightly different requirements. Each course might be slightly different. But at heart, those portfolios are going to show the same elements for a lot of things. Now, tailor your portfolio to your course. That is really important. Make sure it's not just a one portfolio for all. Your portfolio really has to be tailored towards the course you want to study. And most likely this year, you'll be submitting digital portfolios. So just always remember that you might not have a chance to actually submit it to us in person. Now, for us, a portfolio should be 16 to 20 pieces of work, which usually represents 5 to 6 projects. Now, when I say 15 to 20 pieces of work, I generally mean 15 to 20 pages. And that can be a single image on a page, or it can be multiple images. Within those projects, I'm going to keep saying it, but we need to see that beginning, middle, and end. We need to see that progression in your portfolio. So 15 to 20 pages, 5 to 6 projects. You should be able to edit down your work. So make sure that you I would always say put your best work for at the beginning, because you never know how much time an academic is going to have to review your portfolio. And yeah, think of it as a piece of music, beginning, middle, and end. Okay, so we do say, so this is probably more for students who are going to present their portfolio to us in person. But even then, you should understand why you're putting things in your portfolio. You should be able to say, I've done this because of this. This is how I feel about my work. And you want to show us your creative journey. So research, development, contextualization, and final outcomes. So you're showing us the steps that you have taken to develop those final pieces. A lot of students get caught up in the idea that you're just going to show your perfect final piece. Realistically, if you just show us something perfect and finished, it doesn't have context. We need to see the context of your work. So showing us how you've built up to that idea is really important. Now, for a foundation level portfolio, it's slightly different to an undergraduate level portfolio. So we love to, this is a foundation level portfolio is going to be a mix of a whole different things, your interests, your passion, what you're best at. So it's going to be lots of drawing from observation. Always try and draw from observation for every course. Don't try and draw from photographs. Go out into the world, draw your friends. Showing a variety of interests. We love to see sketchbooks. Sketchbooks are amazing. Love sketchbooks. Different materials, approaches, and then a different size of work. So smaller work, larger work. Don't just think A4. You can go everything from teeny tiny up to absolutely massive installation work. An undergraduate level portfolio should be 70% focused on the course that you want to do. Now that can mean a huge range of things, but an undergraduate portfolio should focus towards the course that you want to do. So again, lots of creative thinking, investigation, and different materials and approaches. When we talk about drawing, we're talking about sketchbooks, we're talking about physical bodies. Technical drawing and fashion illustration is always great to include. Technical drawing especially, because if you can draw a human body, if you can draw hands, you can draw anything. Digital work, so we love to see digital work, blogs, vlogs, YouTube, all sorts of different things. Just remember, if you're sending us a film, we need to know your part in it. So if you've done a film with a few of your friends, what were you in it? Were you the director? Were you the script writer? It's very difficult when students just send us a link to a piece of work but don't give us a context. We usually have to go back and ask more questions when you do that. That can make it a bit awkward. We are happy to see Instagram. We are happy to see Tumblr, WordPress. We had our first portfolio sent on TikTok this year, which was pretty cool. So yeah, a whole range of things is absolutely fine with us. As I said, sketchbooks, we do love sketchbooks. Sketchbooks really demonstrate who you are. I think a lot of people get paranoid about sketchbooks because they don't think that it's clean or good enough. But sketchbooks show us your journey. It shows us your technical skills, and it's very personal. It's very raw. So we love to see work from sketchbooks. Always include sketchbooks. Okay, so some specific guides for film and TV. We would say storyboards, screenplays, and scripts. So this is really representing to us that you understand the back end of how to make a film or TV show. Original films are really important for your portfolio, even for undergraduate level. Doesn't matter if it's shot on your phone, absolutely fine. Some of the coolest things we're seeing are coming off people's phones, so don't worry about that. Written work discussing your interests, which obviously might need a little bit of translation. If you do have any set and costume design, character profiles, notebooks, journals, there's a whole different range of things that you can send us. But if you're applying for film production or TV production, I would say it's really helpful for you to actually send a short piece that you've done, a short moving images piece. Now, fashion and textiles. Fashion and textiles, quite a variety of things. So figure drawing, so again, that sketch work of the body, informative flat drawing, so laying out like fashion sketches, so laying out your images to show us what you're actually creating in terms of clothing. Original sewing, textile or fashion projects. We don't expect you to be able to make a ball gown, but we do expect you to be able to thread a sewing machine at this point. Colour study, materials, design and critiques. So if you've done any essays critiquing any designers, we love to see those. You know, do you love Coco Chanel? Do you hate her? Tell us why. Fine art portfolios. Fine art portfolios tend to be have the biggest variety. I was going to say the weirdest and most wonderful, really, because fine art can be anything you say it is, really. So fine art portfolios, they show us that you're really aware of contemporary practice. So a fine art portfolio should demonstrate that you know contemporary practice, and it can be a whole different range of things, from drawings to paintings to installation to moving images. Now, graphic design. So graphic design is very much about observational skills, your lines, video graphics, typography is really important even at this level. Architecture. So architecture, we don't expect you to be making images like this, but if you're making things with straws or cardboard or matchsticks, that's wonderful to see. Conceptual models, go and do some photography of landscapes and buildings and then drawing those as well. And if you can get out and do some digital work, that's wonderful. But yeah, architecture tends to be the one that students really struggle with, because you guys think that we've got to have this, but we haven't. It's showing us that you understand lines and a little bit about construction. Now, animation and coding, again, sketchbooks, storyboarding, sequencing, craft and product design, go and make some things with clay. We'd love to see that, or even blue tack. Marketing, promotion and media, photography, styling, composition, media and journalism, writing, audio, photography. Obviously, we want to see photography. Portfolios. So you would need to send us your, what's the word I'm looking for? Your reel, your tape. So upload from YouTube, that's absolutely fine, and then explain what you're doing on it. We would also invite you to do a one-to-one audition rather than asking you to come over to the UK, or we might, this year, we might actually end up doing them en masse. And then for music, we ask you for a 5-minute original composition of your work, and then to tell us about what you're passionate about. I do have a few more bits, but I'm super aware I have talked for a long time. So I'm going to click out of this. And then if any of you guys have any questions, please do let me know at the end. Okay, thank you. Sorry, I love to talk.
Thank you. That was amazing. So next is University of Plymouth. If you want to share your screen.
Yep. So, hi, my name's Pete Quinn Davis. I'm the program leader for MA design at Plymouth Uni. I'm probably going to go actually a lot over the same ground, similar ground, because I think the brief was kind of portfolios. So there's going to be some replication in information, but maybe I'll take a slightly different tack and look at maybe individual pieces. First of all, the university is based in one place, in Plymouth. It's by the sea. It is on one campus, but we are a large university. And a lot of our work is research-based. So we encourage our students to perhaps make connections to a lot of the other areas within the university. And that for us is kind of engineering, medicine, theatre and performance, a lot of areas where we find large research grants which basically give jobs to students after they leave. We are a faculty of arts, and within that kind of area, our connections are with these people. So we work with computing and mathematics engineering. We're very well known for our marine and oceanography, and particularly now as well our earth and geography and climate change areas. We are broadening our kind of scope in biological sciences about animal behavior, and we're also kind of looking at chemistry in relationship to all these core activities as well. We also have a kind of faculty of health, which is kind of interesting in relationship to all these other areas within the bigger university. And I suppose what this really demonstrates is that we are a properly big university. And in consequence, we have lots and lots of different connections. But really, I'm going to focus on design and architecture. We like to think ourselves as forward-thinking, creative, and full of innovation. and we do focus on you as individuals. So it's your dreams that we're kind of here to make real. Within the school, we focus on these areas: architecture, design, the built environment, digital media design, illustration, filmmaking, graphic design, photography, publishing, and fine art. What I'm going to focus on now is really the importance of that portfolio, something that Felicity was talking about earlier on. And really, as we've been saying, it's the work that best showcases you as an individual. How you put that portfolio together is dependent on who you are and what sort of individual you are. We're not particularly interested in very specific areas in a portfolio. We like to see a very broad range of evidence, which shows a huge diversity through material and media. And we're interested in seeing the process that delivers that final idea or that final product. Obviously, as Felicity has already said, drawings are enormously important, both analog and digital drawings. We really like collages, the whole idea of painting, photography, 3D work, soundscapes, all the things that may have influenced you as an individual, including poets who you like reading, films you like, and the stories. So all those things deliver a sense of who you are, and that actually helps us kind of look at the portfolio in an interesting way. Slightly different, but kind of along the same lines. How many pages are we looking for? Well, minimum of kind of 12 to maximum 20. We like to look at digital images only because within the situation that we are now, it's probably best to work digitally. Only use original work. Scan your flat works, very, very easy to do. Include your photographs. We like to see the final portfolio as a PDF, and that's with a cover page with your name and course you're interested in. Remember, you can be interested in 2 or 3 different courses, so always put that within the portfolio as well. We're looking at a file size around of 10 megabytes, but you can zip this. If you've got any more inquiries, please contact me. Here's some things that from this current year across the school who submitted portfolios, looking at observational studies, and this could be you. Combinations of looking and recording and making, so looking at visual things in a slightly different way, and then making a transposition of those things in a different way. Image collages are always good. So the kind of understanding of kind of bricolage, bringing lots of different things together on one page is also really interesting to see. Design constructions and workshop processes. So if you have got a workshop and you're lucky enough to have stuff to make with, then it's always really, really nice to see a kind of process and transition. Simple paper folding is always really interesting in terms of how people think about things, because the way you can tessellate a shape is actually an indication of how you might actually fold it, how delicate that fold might be, and how beautiful that fold may end up. Lots and lots of drawings are always good, both observational and from real, obviously from photographs. We don't actually mind that unless we prefer to see something that is changing something from the original. We like construction models. These are very rudimentary. And so this was from a current portfolio that's just come into the first year. But something that's a little bit more sophisticated. This is from a layout interior from the Villa Savoye from Corbusier. This is kind of about layouts. It's about influencing. It's about moods. It's about planning. And it's about kind of visualizing things for a longer term. Drawings and paintings can be expressionistic, so we don't shy away from that understanding that your work can express something that's deeply felt by yourself. The entry requirement's exactly the same as Felicity, really. Lots of different links that you can, if I put this across as a PDF to you, please kind of have a look at the links and hit the links. They're all hypered in the PDF. And I think that's it. I've rattled through that just to make up for Felicity's time. But yeah, tack straw.
Thank you a lot. I start speaking and then I forget to unmute myself. So next is Northumbria University.
Okay, let me see if I can share my screen. And I've been practicing this, so what you should see is
I've practiced a few times as well.
Yeah, so what you should see are the slides and not the slides and my notes. So let's see how we go with that. Are you now seeing a presentation of slides?
Yes.
Okay, so thank you very much. There are some great things about going last, and there are some poor things about going last. And one of the poor things about going last is that the audience has already probably learned all that you need to know, and you're thinking about what you're going to do next in the evening. But I'm going to try to keep your attention for 15 minutes or so. My name's Mark Bailey. I'm an associate professor in design innovation and director of transnational education for design at Northumbria University. Our colleagues have just shared with you some information about their rankings and things of that nature, and so I should do the same thing. And Northumbria University is in fact UK's top #1 young university in the world rankings, and we're very proud of that. We are indeed a very large university with about 31,500 students across 3 primary campus locations, the largest of which is in Newcastle, where our design school and our art school are. We also have campuses in London and indeed in Amsterdam, and many international partnerships as well. 20% of our students are in fact international students, and our School of Design really does have a global reputation for the excellence of our research and education. But much more important to you at the moment is the fact that Newcastle, the city where we're based, has been voted by students to be the very best UK city for students to study and to enjoy themselves, to learn about the subject they want to study and to learn how to live. The other really, really important thing for you to note, the keen-eyed amongst you will already have spotted this, is that Newcastle is the closest the closest university in England to Norway. And other things that Norwegians will love about the northeast of England, where we're based, is the fact that we have beautiful long beaches and wonderful rural countryside, just 20 minutes away from the city centre where we're based. We're only just under 3 hours away from London by train, 55 minutes from Amsterdam by aeroplane, and less than 2 hours away from Paris. So that's about Newcastle, the city, and our heritage. The university has 4 faculties, and the School of Design and the Arts Department are located in the Faculty of Arts, Design and Social Sciences. And as a faculty, we're dedicated to the study of culture and its relationship to society. So the head of our faculty, Professor Tom Lawson, says that at the centre of all that we do is the fundamental question of what it means to be human, how we live in the world now, and how we shape a sustainable future. And of course, for those of us in design, the last bit of that statement is so incredibly important. How we shape a sustainable future. our global experience over the last 7 months has taught us just how much we can change the future, and we can accelerate the future by taking innovative and creative leaps. Sadly, it's taken a global pandemic to bring about some of the really positive changes that we've been able to bring about in recent months. But the study of art and design and the situation that we're trying to prepare our students for is to be proactive in bringing about positive change in the world. So within our faculty, we have 4 departments, over 300 academic staff and 5,500 students. And again, a real diversity of international students. So when you study with us, you join a global community. There are more than 50 different nationalities represented in our school at the moment, in the faculty at the moment. And as well as our facilities in Newcastle, we, as I've mentioned, we have study opportunities in both London and Amsterdam, as well as partnerships around the world. Within the faculty, there are 4 departments: the Arts Department and the School of Design, as well as the Department of Humanities and the Department of Social Sciences. And as we were hearing earlier, being part of a big university enables us to connect with any of the disciplines where there may be an interest, requirements, and multidisciplinary research that students want to get involved with. We've almost always got an expert somewhere within the university who can help you with your project. So we believe we're really good at this because we've been doing it a very long time. And in fact, in 1835, the UK government, or the House of Commons, established a select committee whose role was to, to inquire into the best means of extending the knowledge of arts and the principles of design amongst the people, especially the manufacturing populations of the country. Now, of course, the northeast of England is very well known for its manufacturing. And indeed, as a consequence of this piece of government work so long ago as 1835, one of the very first government schools of design was established here in Newcastle. Over the years, the college has, or the school has morphed through various different identities until in 1992, the University of Northumbria was established. And here we are today in 2020 as an acknowledged global leader, both in design research and education. So we've over 170 years of educating artists and designers in the city. Oh, I hope my slides won't move on for some reason. There we are. And all of our programs are based on an ethos, and we believe that art and design studies should equip our graduates with the knowledge and skills and the creative confidence to bring about positive change in the world. And we've designed our degree courses around that ethos to help you develop in this way by learning through practical experience underpinned by cutting-edge research. So we achieve this by combining both theory and practice, and by giving you that experience gained both in studios and workshops, and supported by working with external partners. And a really important underpinning there is to say that we support you to understand that failure is just learning in disguise. And why that's important is because experimentation is at the very core of what we do. And if all you ever do is experiment where you know what the outcome is going to be, it's not an experiment, it's far too safe, you're not taking risks. And we've created programs where we recognize that risk-taking is a critical part of learning. So to specify a little bit, and of course all of the details of the different programs are available on our website, so I won't talk through them in great detail, but you can see that in our arts department we have a broad spectrum of opportunities at both undergraduate and postgraduate level. opportunities in animation and drama, film and television studies and production, and in fine art. And in my school, the School of Design, again at undergraduate, we have a range of programs, possibly one of the broadest ranges of undergraduate programs within a school, encompassing things like three-dimensional design, interior design, design for industry, which is our industrial design and product design course, graphic design, interaction design, fashion design and marketing, which we teach in collaboration with our business school, and fashion communication as well. And as you can see, there are also a host of postgraduate programs for you to consider and progress into. Of course, our facilities are state-of-the-art, industry standard, as are those that you'll find in most design schools. We do also have a strong belief in the importance of learning through some of the traditional skills and approaches that have gone before our contemporary practice. So you will find in our workshops traditional letter presses and screen printing, together with the latest in digital printing, and so on and so forth, across that full spectrum of facilities that you would anticipate. Now, we always like to talk about our alumni, and of course, the thing to do in a presentation of this nature is to pull out some of your most famous alumni, the people who have done the biggest things in the profession. And it's fair to say that Sir Johnny Ive, the Chief Design Officer at Apple until very recently, is quite probably the most well-known, most famous designer on earth, and arguably one of the most influential. But actually, for me, the real satisfaction is in the, and there are over 1,000 of them now, graduates that I've taught who are doing all manner of different things, some of whom are in the boardrooms of some of the world's biggest brands, and others who've started up their own individual enterprises, and they're employing 1 or 2 people now, they're growing their businesses, and others who have used their creative talents to set up charities and so on and so forth. But what's lovely to see is that they're using the knowledge and skills and the soft skills that Felicity was talking about earlier to live fulfilling lives, to do useful things, to bring about change, and to continue to thrive off their creativity. When we think about design, we think of things like this: the fashion garments, the packaging, the products, the sportswear, and so on and so forth. And all of these things have those images, they all have a couple of things in common. One, of course, is that they're all the work of Northumbria alumni. The other is that they're all a synthesis of multiple creative inputs that together drive some form of growth, that are underpinning industry, that are supporting growth. And we want our students to understand the relationship of what they do to the outside world. And that is why probably the most significant underpinning characteristic of a Northumbria graduate is that they will have worked with multiple industry partners on many projects through the course of their studies. In fact, we design some of our master's programs are designed in such a way that 90% of a student's studies in their postgraduate years will be undertaken working in collaboration with external partners, multiple partners. But amongst that, we have our undergraduates will be involved in live project briefs with internships, undertaking integrated projects and research projects with external sponsors. All of our students have the opportunity to take a year out in industry, and certainly our design for industry and fashion design students have those internships integrated into their programs. I could show you 20 slides with organisations' logos on. This is just a snapshot of some of the organisations that our students have worked with in the past year or so. But equally important and potentially as valuable to their learning is the fact that students have also worked with startup charities and small businesses and social enterprises, really gaining a diverse experience there. And of course, the other thing that we do, which is tremendously important for students in their development, the development of their confidence and their portfolios and their individuality, is our students, as part of their studies, enter a lot of competitions, and we are award winners. Our students year on year win awards in the D&AD New Blood Awards for the graphic designers and communication students. They take awards from the catwalk and the exhibitions at Graduate Fashion Week. They regularly win student design awards in the Royal Society of Arts International Student Awards as well. All of this contributes to the fundamental thing that we do, which is to nurture creative confidence. The Kelly brothers define creative confidence as that ability to come up with ideas and the courage to try them out. Well, I believe that we all have the ability to come up with ideas, but we need to be in the right environment that enables us and empowers us to have the courage to try them out. And that's really what we try to establish. It would be daft of us not to acknowledge that the recent months have been really challenging, and the sort of learning that you might anticipate in a design school, spending a lot of time in studios and workshops working with each other, has been impacted by the pandemic. And at Northumbria, we're really lucky because we've for a long time had a concept of the extended studio, or ex-studio, and that is that whilst we work in our, we're renowned for the way that we work with our industrial partners. So we're very outward facing. And whilst we have the facilities and resources and wonderful technical staff and so on to support your learning in the building, we also believe that the studio is both a mindset and an environment outside the studio, outside the building as well. Now, I won't go through all of these points, but essentially what we encourage our students to do is to recognize that design learning doesn't stop when you walk out of the building, that observation of the way that people work and the way that people work and live in the places that they are is critically important to your development as a designer. So your curiosity, your ability to ask questions and so on, and to experiment is really, really fundamental to your development in the world beyond the physicality of our building. I have a set of slides about portfolios. Most of the points that I would make have already been made by our colleagues, so I won't bore you by speaking to each of these slides in detail. I'll skip through them really, really quickly so that I can emphasize a couple of things that are maybe a little bit different from the others who have spoken already. So we know what a portfolio is. It's a collection of work organized in a way that showcases your professional or your in this case, your sort of creative aspirations. In essence, I think what I've heard this afternoon, this evening, is that it is a window to your creative soul. This is you laying yourself bare as a creative through your work. And as such, it will be very individual. And we really want to see that individualism. And in fact, our requirements are possibly a little bit less formulaic in terms of what we're looking to see. So we're not going to be prescriptive about wanting to see particular skills for particular courses. If you're interested in applying for industrial design and you happen to be good at sketching that might be more appropriate for fashion, we want to see that. We're really looking to see your creativity. We'll share these anyway after the event, so you can read through the notes on them. But the other sort of important thing I wanted to highlight, and I think we've heard a little bit about this before, let's see unfinished projects, let's see development work. And again, you know, these are some images of development work that have been undertaken or created by someone who's partway through their studies. So we wouldn't necessarily expect your application portfolio to be at this standard, and we certainly wouldn't want you to be intimidated by it. But the relevance of this is to demonstrate that you may develop ideas this way, or you might develop them this way. You might be someone who prefers to make things to explore ideas. However it is we want to see it. And similarly, you know, the same applies whichever area you're interested in. I think the important thing is that you tell a story through your portfolio, that you showcase your interests and skills, and you take pride in the way that it's presented. Be cautious about digital file sizes, because those always become limiting factors. And we want to see your passion shining through. So there's nothing more I really need to say about your portfolio. It's great to showcase work that you have done in your own time. You know, if your creativity is expressed in renovating an old Mini or a Volvo or something of that nature, send us some photographs of that work. Let us see your practicality and your passion. If your creativity comes out by redesigning and planting your grandmother's garden, yep, we want to see that too. So I want to end by saying to you that if you choose to come to study at Northumbria, we will offer you a very, very warm welcome. We genuinely thrive on the rich diversity of our community of global learners, both our staff and our students. And we're looking forward to supporting you and welcoming you to our faculty and our university. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark. So now we've heard from all of the universities, and we can do a little question and answer session. Så bare send spørsmål til meg I chatten hvis dere har noen spørsmål. So I got a few questions while you guys were speaking. Let's see. There were a few people who asked about their sketchbooks. So someone directed this question at you, Felicity. Should their sketchbook be uploaded in their portfolio or keep it separate?
So I would, if you can integrate your sketchbook into your portfolio. So a lot of the times a project will start in a portfolio. So a project will start in a sketchbook. So those ideas that you're doing, those things that you're creating will often lead into an actual project. Let me just see if I can show you, if you don't mind me just showing you an example. Hold on, sorry, my computer's now decided it doesn't want to open anything. Just one sec, I've got a load of, but yeah, I mean, any way in which you can integrate your portfolio is wonderful. So your sketchbook is wonderful. So let me just show you this, if you don't mind me just sharing my screen again.
Yep, that's fine.
So this portfolio was for a games art student. Now, these pieces are all taken from her sketchbook, and she's added them in to show me what kind of thing that she's doing. And then as you go through, this is all sketchbook work that she's putting in her portfolio to show me her technical skills. And then she's developing digital work as well. Now I'm just going to flick through So some of this is digital work, but then we can see, where is it? So here, so she's integrated her sketchbook work into this project, and then you can see how she's moving along. For some portfolios, it absolutely makes sense to put a whole page of a sketchbook because it's showing your technical skills, and that's wonderful to see if your whole page of your sketchbook shows your technical skills. The only thing I would say to be really cautious with sketchbooks, I don't want to speak for every university, but our academics are very, very put off by anime, especially if you have endless pages of copies of anime characters. Now, if you are using them to practice your technical skills and then evolving into your own work, that's fine. But a sketchbook should not compromise solely of pages and pages of those big eyes with a tear down, because it's even for animation, it shows that you can copy, but it doesn't necessarily show your own technical skills by your own hand. That's what I would say with sketchbooks.
Yeah. Well, maybe you want to answer the next question then as well, because someone asked if it was okay to use Pinterest for inspiration. Yeah.
The only thing I would be hesitant with Pinterest is that you are just then going to be copying an image. And then when we're just going back to this portfolio again, sorry. So on this portfolio, she has actually, she's used, we don't always recommend using using photos or images of celebrities in your pieces, because again, you don't want to cross that line of copying. But what she's done here is she's taken these images and then she's evolved them into something different. She's actually using them to play around with light and shadow. So she's using these images that she's found online as a starter, which is great, absolutely fine. But then she's evolving it into something else, which is what we love. And then that has become part of a bigger project, playing around with light and shadow. So yeah, if there's something on Pinterest that really inspires you and you love it, that's great, but make sure you make it your own. Don't just copy what's there, because even I, who's not very artistic, can copy, but I can't make anything my own. I couldn't show you technical skills, but I could put tracing paper over my computer screen and copy from Pinterest. So use things as inspiration, but then evolve your work. That's what I would recommend.
Yeah.
I think the other important thing on that is when you're taking material from other sources and using it for reference or to start to develop your own work, using it for inspiration, it's really quite helpful to offer a little bit of text, a little bit of narrative that explains that is what you're doing. With the best will in the world, I may be the most knowledgeable design academic that I'm not, but I might be. And there are occasions where I will see a photograph of something in someone's portfolio and I won't know whether that is their work or the work of some other designer. It might look vaguely familiar. Just give your references, highlight where the thing has come from and why you have chosen to put it in your portfolio. And if it's original work, take pride in saying that as well.
Yeah, I think for me, sketchbooks are predominantly private spaces. So they're always quite difficult to articulate visually to others. So one of the things to do is to contextualize it a little bit like Mark was saying. So those pages can be contextualized through text quite easily. They remain private, but sketchbooks predominantly are all about thought process. That's all it is. It's visually showing a process.
Yeah, because someone asked now more of a follow-up question. Do you want them to take out the sort of the bad sketches, or do you want to see everything?
Everything.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, so the best thing about a bad sketch is, as I was saying before, we learn from failure, in inverted. There are no wrong answers, there's no failure. But you know, if you can identify why a sketch is, in your words, bad, what is it that isn't working there? How am I correcting that? How am I learning from that? And the bad sketch is, in many instances, more useful than the good sketch.
Because, a sketchbook, as I said, is all about thought process. And when you see thought process, you can see literally in a linear sense where that process is leading to. So even if some are bad, some will be good.
Yeah, that's interesting. So here's another question. Do I need a portfolio for fashion journalism? Maybe Felicity, you want to answer that one?
You might have stumped me.
I don't think you do, but
I think we might have actually stopped. I think we call our fashion journalism course something else. So let me just check. Just give me a second. Sorry.
Yeah, I believe with our fashion communication program, a portfolio is not a requirement.
No.
That's my understanding.
There might be an interview or something instead.
Yeah.
So our fashion branding and communication wouldn't require a portfolio. Our fashion media and promotion would require a portfolio because that's much more artistic, or much more creative, I should say. And our magazine journalism and publishing doesn't require a portfolio, but if you have written pieces to send along, that's always a great thing to do.
Is there anything for fashion business marketing?
No portfolio requirements for us for anything in the business school.
Okay, let me see if there
so
are.
Our fashion design and management, fashion design and marketing does require portfolio.
Okay, what would you look for in that type of portfolio?
Much the same as in a portfolio for fashion design, because the program really is about bringing together the skills of fashion design with some of the knowledge around brand and marketing, so those students would be creating a collection and then working around the branding of it and so forth.
And then someone here has a question because they've done mostly science subjects in school, so they have very little knowledge of more of the creative subjects. The question is sort of, what do I do? But I guess just gaining experience is sort of the best way to
I think that's an interesting question because with a science background, it's very interesting when you're focusing on material. So a lot of materiality is obviously based in science. A lot of interesting developments in material science are obviously based in new materials. So there is a lot of interest in creative areas where we want to work transdisciplinary. So in other words, we want to influence the creative arts with people outside of the creative arts. That actually introduces someone who thinks differently than the rest of the cohort. And actually that's a very important aspect of creativity itself. So don't be put off by coming from a science background. All you have to do is to understand that if you're interested in design, for instance, or industrial design or engineering, perhaps what you need to do is to focus your science through those disciplines and with those disciplines. So there are kind of ways that you can achieve that quite easily.
I think the other thing to say there is you will have noticed that none of us said that we wanted to see schoolwork in a portfolio. We didn't say you need to be showing school projects in your portfolio. We said we want to see evidence of your creativity manifest in projects that you've undertaken, and so on and so forth. So there, you know, it may well be that you make an application, you know, as Pete was saying, to study industrial design with fantastic examination results, and having spent a good deal of your spare time creating a portfolio of work that expresses your creativity in made things and or in drawn form, and so on and so forth. And the other route, of course, is that there are those who want to pursue an undergraduate degree in a more science-based or business-based area, and then look at postgraduate study in more creative subjects. And you know, certainly we have, and I know that there are others elsewhere, but we actually have a program deliberately focusing on that multidisciplinary or interdisciplinary working at postgraduate level, where we quite deliberately recruit students with backgrounds other than design, as well as students coming from design backgrounds, for exactly that reason, to promote this transdisciplinary working. So that's maybe something a little bit for the future if the immediate route isn't appealing.
And here's a question for you, Pete. Do you prefer drawings and sketches for architecture, or to see sort of big finished projects? I think that's what this person is asking.
I think for us, as everyone's really been saying, that you need to do a balanced approach. So some initial drawing, some model making, some envisioning. So the idea of what it may look like, its location, its place. So if you think about all those things within a sketchbook, for instance, you pretty much have the question right there in a few pages. Yes, some of those layouts for designs, the more sophisticated ones, are kind of interesting, but even the more rudimentary ones, where there's just an understanding of what we would term volumetric, so an understanding of shape and space. But remember, with architecture, it is all about us. It's all about people. So an understanding of how the human fits within architecture is always really, really interesting.
Okay, and then here's a question about the size of your portfolio. I guess that's when you make a digital one, there might be just one size, or can you choose different ones?
I think we've all said, haven't we, there's a kind of minimum 12, maybe?
Yeah, I think they
20.
mean the size.
But yeah, the size is if we're working digitally, they will literally be digital slides, won't they? Yeah.
So yeah, I don't think that's. And if it's not a digital portfolio, then I guess you should make it so as you can carry it around, perhaps. Normally,
people work from A1 to A2.
Yeah. Okay.
Sketchbooks are usually A4. So there's normally a kind of variety of different pocket size to full underarm folders. Always quite difficult, actually badly designed, to be honest, the portfolio, especially the A1 size. It's a nightmare to carry.
The trick is, if you live somewhere windy, to work on a smaller format, because if you have a large portfolio, it just blows you around.
Yeah.
That's my experience.
Build a trolley with a sail on it.
Let's see. So do you prefer, there's one question here, do you prefer digital portfolios, or do you prefer to sort of see, what do they mean? To see them take pictures of the process and SketchUps? I guess sort of the same. Or I think maybe they mean if they've created it with sort of a digital app or something. Or if you want
an interesting question, because it kind of weaves its way in through quite a few questions.
Yeah.
So now, obviously, with where we are with the pandemic, obviously everything has to be digital. So kind of start thinking in that way.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, it's a lot cheaper to send. In fact, it's so cheap it doesn't cost anything.
Mm-hmm.
And if that is kind of PDF'd and zipped, and then that is very, very transportable. We do prefer the real thing, to be honest, because normally we interview everybody that comes into the faculty, into the school, in person. So in an ideal world, we would see you in relationship to your portfolio, and that's actually a very important thing for us.
Yeah. I think we've answered all the questions that I got here. I will send everyone emails tomorrow, and I can include your information. And then if they have more questions, they can direct them at me or at you. So thank you so much for being here tonight, and have a good rest of your evening. Anything you would like to say?
Tack ska du ha.
Yeah, thank you very much for organising and hosting so nicely. And thank you everyone for being there who's there but we can't see you.
Thank you, Camilla. Varsågod.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.